Just Minding My Business Radio, where we are moving at the speed of God, learning what we didn't know we didn't know. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use.
X your business starting today with digital marketing from Just Minding My Business Media, LLC on JMMB Media TV or Mindset Movers TV. jmmbradio@gmail.com.
Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, LLC. Perhaps today something unique will enter your world to awaken an appreciation and acceptance of self and those you meet. Today we welcome to the mic New York Times best-selling author Laura Doyle. Laura's books have been translated into 19 languages and 30 countries and accidentally started a worldwide movement. Her mission is to end world divorce, a mission that gained traction as she began to experience the pitfalls in her own marriage. With that wisdom and the input of many women, she began what evolved into the International Relationship Coach Training School, Laura Doyle Connect. She has helped over 15,000 women fix their relationships, even the hopeless ones, without their husband's effort. Laura Doyle has appeared on The Today Show, Good Morning America, and The View. And we are most pleased to have her join us today on the podcast of Just Minding My Business Media. Welcome, Laura Doyle.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so honored to have you in our space, and thank you so much. I have a question for you. Accidents. I love how accidents. Can you tell us what that looks like?
Sure. I mean, I was the perfect wife until I actually got married, right? So I knew I was a good wife. I was helping my husband be more ambitious and helping him with his resume. And I was showing him how to load the dishwasher the right way. And I was telling him what he needed to do to be more romantic. And after, a few years into this, the man wanted nothing to do with me. So there was either wall-to-wall hostility at our house, or there was Cold Wars, which is where there was no talking for days. And it wasn't, it's not like I started out saying I have a mission to end world divorce. I really just wanted to end my pending divorce that was coming up. In fact, I knew what to do when he was ignoring me. I thought, I'm just going to take him to a marriage counselor, and then the counselor will fix him, and then I can finally be happy, because I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But it wasn't how it worked, of course. And I remember being on the marriage counselor's gray couch when I realized this is hopeless. He's never going to change. And I'm either going to spend the rest of my life in a loveless marriage, or I'm going to have to get divorced. So I thought, I have to get divorced. That's what I decided. And the only problem was that I was too embarrassed to get divorced. I was too proud. I didn't really want everyone that just came to the wedding, a few years ago. I didn't want them to know that it wasn't going well, because I'd been keeping up appearances. So what I did as a last-ditch effort, I started asking women who'd been married for what seemed like an eternity, which was 15 years. If they'd been married 15 years and they seemed happy, I was going to ask them for their secrets. And I thought they were going to say, well, you have to pick the right man. But they didn't say that. So they said some things that didn't make any sense to me. But I thought, I'm going to try. I'm just going to try whatever they say. I'll try it. And if it works, I'll keep it. And if it doesn't, I'm going to throw it out. And I remember I hadn't been doing it for very long when I walked through the door after work one day, and my husband's face lit up. He was happy to see me again. Yeah. So I thought, okay, something's working. And I thought, okay, now I know what to do. I can have that marriage I dreamed of having when I stood at the altar and said, I do. So I was very hopeful, very excited. I really felt empowered. And I thought, well, now we're not going to have those big old fights like we used to have in the car. And then a few days later, we were driving in the car, and guess what happened? We had one of those big fights again, big fight. And I knew that I was not going to be able to stay on track with the new things I was learning. They weren't that hard. They were just new. So I thought, well, I'm going to recruit some of my girlfriends that are also complaining about their marriages. I'm going to recruit them. We're going to have a little support group, and we're all going to do this together. And that way I would be accountable to them. And it worked because I thought, I can't tell them to do this if I'm not going to do it myself, Mm-hmm. They started reporting miracles. One of them said, my husband won the sales contest at work and he took her on the most romantic getaway of their lives. So we're like, that seemed like a miracle. And another one said, well, this isn't going to seem that big, but we've been arguing for months about him painting the family room. And he got up and painted the family room and he did it with a smile. So she said, that seemed like a miracle. So we knew we were onto something. And then one of them said, can you write down what we are doing for my cousin in Florida? And I said, sure, I can. I'll do that. And that became my first book, which debuted on the New York Times bestseller list and has been translated to all those languages and countries and continues to be a big seller today to women who, weren't even, they were just little children when the book first came out 20 years ago. And and now they've grown up and gotten married themselves and read that book. So we're celebrating our 20th year of empowering women to be ridiculously happy wives. Yeah, as part of the mission to end world divorce.
Yes. And that's a really great mission because when we took those vows, there was no out. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. God did not create an out. He was like better, worse, sick, poor, everything that could happen to you in life.
That's right.
You're supposed to stick with it. And with that being said, a lot of times, we don't think about it that way. We think about it while we're doing it. But as we move into the relationship, that part goes out the window. And it's like, I can't do this anymore. This is hopeless. That's the thoughts that go through our heads. And with you being able to show women that they can honor those words and have the marriage that they dreamed of when they walk down the aisle is amazing. It is totally amazing because I've been married 20 something years now. And like you, we went through the arguments, in my mind, I left 100 times, and then as the relationship went on, I learned to pick my battles. And that's one key that I found that makes a difference. Some things ain't even worth mentioning.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's just not worth it. And then other things are worth it. And men are they're not like us. We kind of cater to advice from each other. Girl, you need to try this. This works. And we eager to try it. Men, on the other hand, their ego gets in their way. They don't see it the way we see it.
They don't. They do not see the world the same way we see it. That is for sure.
You say that marriage counseling does more harm than good. But shouldn't people get help with their relationships if they need it? So that would be my question. What is it about marriage counseling that can be so difficult?
Well, I think it's such a great question because that's how we've all been trained, right? When there's marriage problems, you go to marriage counseling or you go to your pastor, you go get support, of course. But there's a couple of things about the structure of marriage counseling that I have since realized are just not a good setup. I think marriage counselors really mean well. They got into the business for the right reasons because they wanted to help people with their marriages. But unfortunately, one of the first things you do typically in a marriage counseling session is you sit in front of this stranger with your husband and you tell that person everything he's doing wrong. Right. And for men, this is one of the things that kind of blew my mind. I always knew I should be a respectful wife, right? That you grow up hearing women respect your husband, wives respect your husband. And I thought, well, I am respectful except for the way he drives and the way he dresses and, a few other things, right? But so obviously I didn't know what it meant to be respectful, but it certainly is not respectful to sit in front of a stranger and tell him everything your husband's not doing or is doing that you don't like. So in some ways I was digging my hole a little deeper just by doing that, just by showing up and complaining about him. And then the next thing is that in some cases, you're focusing on what is wrong in your relationship. And there's just always room for improvement, right? It's the biggest room in the house, most places. So if you get to decide if you're going to focus on what's going wrong or what's going right. You can catch him doing something good, right? Or you can focus on, oh my gosh, he did the dishes, but he did not wipe the counters. So I can't thank him for that, because then he'll never do a good job, right? I need to let him know that I'm unhappy that he didn't wipe these counters instead of thanking him that he loaded the dishwasher, maybe, right? So that was another aspect of marriage counseling that I felt it seems to be a pretty typical experience, because now I've had thousands of students come through and say, we went to marriage counseling, and can you believe it? The marriage counselor told us to get divorced. And then come to find out that marriage counselor was also going through a divorce, right? So what makes him or her credible to give you support in your marriage if this is maybe not even the first divorce? This could be the third divorce that they're on. And we don't get to find out about that. We see a nice certificate on the wall that says they've done some academic work. But for me, that's a little bit of a counterfeit, because what makes me qualified to help another woman fix her marriage is I've been there. I've done it. And that's what all my coaches, that's their qualifications. And I'm really proud of that, because it's not theoretical. A lot of people take an academic approach to marriage, right? This was done in the trenches with real women, real marriages, and it really worked. I found that to be much more powerful to be able to say there is a solution. And yet so many of us have been trained with that counseling model. And I'll tell you, one of my coaches was telling me recently a funny story. She said, when I first signed up for coaching with one of your coaches, I was on my coaching session with her, and in the middle of it, she started talking about herself. And I was horrified. She said, I don't want to hear about your marriage. I paid you. This should be about me. And of course, that's the counseling model, right? It's all about you. The counselor doesn't reveal anything personally. But she was horrified, but she didn't say anything. And by the end of the call, she realized, like, wow, that story that the woman shared about her marriage was actually relevant to my marriage, and kind of gave me an insight about myself, which is kind of how it works. And she said she hung in there long enough. She was able to make great strides in her own marriage, fixed it, and then eventually became a coach. And now she probably horrifies some of her clients by sharing personally about her own marriage. Because that's what we do. It's not like counseling at all. Coaching's a totally different ball game. But most of us have that point of reference. We've been to counseling. We know what that's like. And a lot of us haven't had coaching, except maybe as a kid in sports at school or something, you had a coach. But coaches are meant to bring out the best by sharing their experience. Very different than the academic approach of using this particular therapy model. And we find much more powerful, much more empowering.
I love it. I love that approach, because people can relate when you've gone through it.
Yes. Yeah. And they feel safe, right? If I'm there saying, well, I've got this embarrassing story about how I always say I can either be a good example, or else I'll just have to be a horrible warning. So sometimes I'm telling my horrible warning stories, right? Here's what happened when I didn't practice this particular skill, or here's what happened. And then here's what happened. Here's what I did differently the next time. And that's what had my husband draw closer and just make bedroom eyes at me, and grab me for a kiss as I'm walking down the hallway or whatever.
That's beautiful. That is really beautiful. And how you let me just ask, how long have you been married?
We'll be celebrating 32 years in September. It's my proudest accomplishment in the whole world that I'm married to the man of my dreams, and I feel that gratitude for it every day. Because we really just have a lot of fun. Just before I got on this call, he was like, do you need any water? Can I get you anything? How can I take care of you? Because that's his goal in life, is to take care of me and make me happy.
Congratulations. How do women connect with you in your program?
The way to get started is to go to lauradoyle.org. Get that roadmap, get started with that. There's lots of blogs there. I have a podcast, the Empowered Wife Podcast. I think a lot of women find me on Google. They're searching for something like my husband's not affectionate, or how to get my husband back. And unfortunately, a lot of students show up in a crisis. There's a separation, there's a pending divorce, there's another woman, and they're wanting to know how to make their marriages last. And a lot of times they have to do it single-handedly, right? He's not interested in going to marriage counseling or reading a book or any of that other stuff. And sometimes, they arrive and I say, well, good, that's lucky. Because listen, you are the keeper of the relationship. Women are the keepers, in my experience. And I think we don't feel like we are because we're like, oh no, I can't get him to do anything that I want. I can't even get him to mow the lawn or, wash the car or whatever. And a lot of times we're just going about it the wrong way. We have so much power. And I think in many cases, no one ever told us how to use our power. We weren't taught how to, and speaking of embarrassing stories, when we were just a brand new couple, my now husband took me to Hawaii for a romantic getaway. And I was so excited because I thought, oh, well, now we're going to go to the beach. But I didn't say I wanted to go to the beach. I just said to him, hey, what do you want to do today? And he said, let's go see a volcano. I was like, oh, volcano. Oh, yeah. But I thought, oh, gosh, I asked him. And I don't want to have a fight. So we'll just go. We'll see the volcano. It's fine. We'll go to the beach tomorrow. And then, so we're driving along and you don't see a volcano for a long time. You see little molten rocks on the side of the road. And so I started to get kind of upset. And he says, something wrong? And I said, did you think this would be funny? Because I don't think it's fun at all. I think it's stupid. And I wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to know. All right. So he saw a volcano. All right. And I was so embarrassed about how I behaved. And you know what he did anyway? We turned the car around. We went to the beach. After that, he just wanted me to be happy. But I had this horrible hangover and so much fear that the guy was not going to want to be around me much longer if I continued to act like that. And it didn't feel optional to act like that. I just didn't know what to do. And then finally, I fortunately learned how to express my desires in a way that inspires him. And there's a whole little formula to it, which I love. And I use it for everything now. I used to do the same thing with the dishes. I'd say to him, John, this kitchen is a disaster. And I thought he was going to jump up off the couch and start cleaning the kitchen. And that never happened. Never happened. So, and I think maybe he couldn't hear me. He probably could just hear John, blah, 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 blah. Right. So finally, one day I said, I would love a clean kitchen. And that's the formula. And I'll break it down for you if you want. I would love a clean kitchen. He goes, okay. He goes, I'll clean it. And he did. And that was 20 years ago. He's been doing it ever since. I don't do the dishes at my house anymore. He knows it makes me happy. He does all the dishes at our house. So it's a powerful formula. And a lot of times women aren't trained. We are almost trained to not say what we desire. And we don't even know what we desire sometimes because we've equated that with selfishness. But it doesn't make us want those things any less. It just makes them come out sideways sometimes, like becoming a volcano when you don't get to go to the beach.
So you already know I want to know the formula.
Well, good, because I am on a mission to share this formula. This is we have like 20, I call them cheat phrases, right? They're meant to put your heart right in a way. It's sort of the way you teach a child to say please and thank you because you want them to cultivate a grateful heart, right? So It's the same kind of thing, meant to put your heart right. So it starts out with, I usually say I would love, because love attracts love. Or you could say, I would like, or you could say, I desire, I want, but I like, I would love. And then just the final outcome. So it's not how it should happen or who should do it or how much he should spend on it or how much time he should spend. It's none of that because then you're veering into the area of control when you start trying to control the house. And in some ways, I think of my marriage as it was like a spiritual primer in a way, right? Because this is how the universe works also. Am I going to trust my husband? Am I going to trust the universe? Or am I going to try to micromanage it, right? Out of fear. Am I going to choose my faith or am I going to choose my fear? So I'll give you an example. Like I remember one student said, I would love for my husband to make more money. And that's not the final outcome yet because money is just a means to an end, right? You have money so you can do something you desire. So I said, well, what would you have that you don't have now if you made more money? She said, well, I could buy myself things. And things is also a little bit vague, right? Like what things would you get? And she said, well, I need new boots, right? She made it a need. And we all need, food and oxygen and water and shelter. But do we really need new boots or do we just want new boots, right? So she finally got down to, I would love new boots. So that's the formula. That's how, and then, I had one student who their marriage was in a bad way. He'd already told her he wanted a divorce and, they were at home but they were living like roommates that didn't speak, just, passing each other awkwardly in the hall. pretty bad. So he was watching TV one time and she'd been practicing the intimacy skills. And she thought, I'm going to try this expressing your desires thing. But she was not attached to the outcome because she knew he probably wouldn't respond because he was so distant and bent on ending their marriage. And she said, I would love a leg massage. And he said, would you like it right now? And she just lost her mind. She was so shocked. She's like, oh my God, he's going to give me a leg massage. And she's like, yes, I do want it right now. Yeah. And he was like, all right, sit over here. And she was, yeah. So it was really a fun story because that was the beginning of her reconciling. And she has also now become a relationship coach with me. Awesome. So it's really fun to watch all these miracles happen once women get the right training and get the formula for how to express your desires in a way that inspires him.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm just really loving this. Being married, I'm still working on me because I know I can be a ball of fire sometimes. But listening to you and the approach, I can't wait to try some of this stuff.
It's fun. It is so fun. Let me tell you. It's exciting.
I can't wait. So how do people get the book?
Oh, sure. So, I have something fun going on right now, which is at lauradoyle.org. You can download it's a free PDF. It's called The Adored Wife Roadmap. And it just lays out the 6 steps and also the 3 mistakes that so many women make and I made them too, when we're trying to get our husband's time or try to get his attention or his affection. So that's for a free download there. Or you can join my Adored Wife Facebook group, which is also free. And of course, the book, The Empowered Wife, lays out all 6 intimacy skills, all the cheat phrases, step by step. So you have that. And that's available at Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the book because, I definitely want a better relationship. And I think we all as wives want that and striving towards that. But we don't know how all the time.
No, we don't. Many of us were trained at work, you got to get your education, got to be successful at work. But there was no relationships 101 at my school. I don't know if there was at yours.
No.
Right?
That's where it falls apart. And so many young people get married and they have the fairy tale version of marriage. And then 3 weeks in, it's like, what?
Oh no. Yeah.
Exactly. And even when you how you go to the pastor and they give you counseling, they can't teach you this either.
No.
They don't have the skills to really deal with this because a lot of times what we don't know is their relationships is in a mess. And, some of them are on their second and third wife. So they're not even qualified.
No.
To help.
And also, in some ways, I think that there's a lot of strength in women sharing with other women about what they did. Because I do think that, like you were saying earlier, Ida, that men are different than us. They don't see the world the same way. And they might have a different approach to marriage than, in fact, I'm confident that they do. Because when I think about how much my husband just wants to make me happy, it's it kind of blows my mind because I've asked thousands of men. It's kind of a hobby of mine. I'll say, how important is it to you that your wife is happy? And all of them have said the same thing. They say, oh, it's everything. Or they say, it's the most important thing. Or they say, if mama's not happy, nobody's happy, right? And in the UK, they say it's imperative, right? Happy wife, happy life. It's not just a saying. So there's, I think there's this yin and yang, right? That's happening in marriages that we have kind of gotten away from. We try to say, oh, everybody's the same. And I used to say this too. Men and women are the same because we have to have the same opportunities at work. But the goals at work are pretty different than the goals in my relationship. I want my husband to tell me I'm beautiful and I'm wonderful and I'm the best ever. And I want him to just, hold my hand and pat my butt. And at work, I'm trying to, improve the body. Maybe you're trying to get a promotion or a raise or whatever, right? That is a different goal, totally different skill set. And it's just been so empowering to practice the skills that make my marriage successful. huge way to be successful in life.
I love the one about the leg rub, the leg massage. It's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
Yes.
How many women have often come home thinking, I just wish someone would rub my back.
Yes. And all you had to do was ask. And all you had to do was ask.
Oh, yeah. If he
That's
knew.
awesome.
If he knew.
It's something we don't think about. No one thinks about. It's like, oh, maybe if I just asked, I'd be happy to do it. And I like your formula too. What you need, really not trying to manipulate the situation, but the bottom thing, the line thing that you want. And I think that's so hard for women to get to, to actually say, this is what I want.
Yeah.
We get into all kinds of, we start off with I would like, and then there's all this stuff that comes into the middle. And I think that's sometimes where men go awry. Because men aren't like that. They want to go from A to Z, cut out all the middle stuff. That's what I want to know. The first part and the last part. And they're good with that.
I think sometimes too, when I look back at my own experience, I thought that I was telling him what I wanted when I was just complaining, right? So he really didn't know what I wanted. I was just saying, this kitchen is a disaster. He doesn't know how to make me happy, really. Here's the complaint. And I think sometimes we confuse the complaints with, like, he knows what I want him to do. Like, oh, does he?
Right.
Right? How would he know? Exactly. What would make you happy?
Absolutely. And I think, listening to you, it's the approach that makes the world a difference. When we come fussing, that's walk, walk, walk.
They totally stop listening. There's no.
It's very true. That's the reason that the very first intimacy skill is actually to do at least 3 things a day, every day, for frivolous, feel-good fun. And the point is, make yourself happy. So I know for me, if my energy account is overdrawn, which it used to happen a lot, especially when I was first married, because I didn't know, I was just a good martyr. My parents are divorced, and I have to say, I think I was just doing what I saw dear old mom doing, and I was about to get the same results that my mom got. And if I'm depleted, it seems like everything's wrong. And there's my husband, and he's the wrongest thing of all, because I'm in a place where I'm not feeling good. And now I'll just make myself go to bed. I'll just march myself into bed, or go for a walk, or call a friend, or do something that's going to put me in a better spot. Before I tried it, I'm not going to bring up any, marriage issues, that's for sure, when I'm in that place. Because I used to think the world was really as dark as I thought it was, just because I was in a bad mood. And now I know, it just means I haven't done a good job tending to my own happiness.
That's a really good way to look at it. That's a really good way to look at it.
Gets me out of a lot of scrapes, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So, again, how do people connect with you? Because I can already see why you have so many students, because this has been an eye-opener for me as well. And I can't wait to practice some of the techniques that you just gave me tonight. So I am just looking forward to people that really want to save their marriage connecting with you. Because I've never, ever heard it put this way. Ever.
No, right? I didn't either. I had never heard it. So, except it was wise women that have been married, like you, for 20 years or so, that had this information. The way to get started is to go to lauradoyle.org. .org. Get that roadmap. Get started with that. There's lots of blogs there. I have a podcast, the Empowered Wife podcast, really popular. You can, I just want every woman to get all the information she needs to make her marriage last and world divorce. It's not necessary to suffer just because nobody ever showed you, right? Here's the information you need.
Yes. And this is really, really great. I'm telling you, I'm so happy about meeting you.
Thank you so much. This has really been a pleasure.
I really am. And I know our audience is going to love this. It's going to make a difference in so many lives. I mean, you've already proved that you've made a difference in many lives. So you've got a whole bunch more to go.
I'm telling you have the whole pandemic crop.
Yes, exactly.
A whole crop of people who thought their marriages were lovely until they had to be there 24/7.
They didn't get their solitude, which could be part of their self-care, right? Or they didn't get to connect with their coffee clutch or their running groups or whoever that was helping them stay happy. And it did put a lot of stress.
Yeah, absolutely. Or they just didn't know each other. They just lost touch with one another.
Yes, and that seems to have been the case a lot. You know, people who have long commutes, and they basically are like ships passing in the night. They come in, they have dinner, they get the kids to bed, they go to bed, and then get up and do it all over again. And then all of a sudden, all of that came to a halt. So there are a lot of people who are going to really appreciate what you have to share with them. And most people, if they're honest, would say that they want to save their marriage.
Yeah.
They were sincere when they made those vows.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
they set out to succeed, not to fail, right?
Absolutely.
See, it's very tragic when, especially so much of it is unnecessary, so much divorce. If only they had the right support, if only they'd had the right community of like-minded women who were standing for their marriage instead of saying, oh, you should get divorced, right? We hear that. It's so common now.
It is.
Oh, you got to leave. You got to leave. Oh, he cheated. You got to go, right? Like, well, gosh, we got a lot of people involved here. We got 5 kids and 2 adults and a couple of cats and dogs. And let's just see if there might be some way to have this breakdown become a breakthrough.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes, I like that too. Well, thank you so much for gracing our stage. We definitely appreciate you. And we're definitely looking forward to more collaborations going forward. And thank you. That's all I can say is thank you.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Ida and Ruth. This has really been a delight. Great to meet you both.
Your business, through Just Minding My Business Media, has exposure on internet radio, major social media platforms, and now TV. Through Just Minding My Business, dynamic digital marketing platform. Don't listen to the word on the street. Share it for yourself. Visit jmb.assistacircle.org to learn how you can take your business, your vision, to the next level. Voiceover by RCH VoiceWorks. For when you want to be heard, call 443-620-4115.
For tuning in to Just Minding My Business Radio. I'm your host, Ida Crawford.
And I'm your co-host, Ruth Haskins.
We hope you enjoyed the show and appreciate you stopping by. Many blessings to you